fit, formidable, and fantastic.
Hi, this is Cory McCarthy, and welcome to a new episode of Fit, Formidable, and Fantastic. That's right, go F yourself, and happy Meatless Monday. In this episode, I got something different, something special for you guys, and that is I'm going to show you, walk you through how to bake my famous, at least on social media, vegan and gluten-free baked donuts. So, let's get to it. Here is we're going to mix in the dry ingredients into a large bowl. I like to use a very large plastic mixing bowl. And the first thing we're going to dump into the bowl is 2 cups of, I prefer a gluten-free flour. You can use whatever you want, but I use a white rice flour. So, I'm actually using a gluten-free white rice flour. And like I said, you want to dump 2 cups into the bowl. So mix yourself out a nice 2 cups, or just about 2 cups. I don't go precise. I just kind of like it. I try to bake it about even, but whatever. So that's 1 cup. And shake it up, and there we go. That's 2 cups. So there's the first dry ingredient. And that's the flour. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add half a cup of vegan sugar. Now, you'll find that the ingredients are down in the description of this video, in case you're not able to follow along or you're not hearing something properly. So, half a cup of sugar. I use a standard granulated sugar, a vegan sugar from Whole Foods. What you'll do is you'll take that half a cup of sugar, and you're just going to dump it right in with the flour. Now, maybe you guys have a more organized setup than I do in your kitchen, but this is just how I'm doing it. So, you know, bear along with me. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Not baking soda, baking powder. Just use a basic baking powder from Whole Foods. 1 teaspoon and 2 teaspoons. Okay. The next thing is going to be, well, this is all the dry ingredients for now. So what I do is I sift them all together. I use a knife because I like using a knife to stir my protein powder even. I feel like it's, I don't know, I just like knives, so that sounds really bad, I'm sure. But yeah, just mix it all up. I like to give it a little bit of a shift in all directions and really stir it to make sure all the dry ingredients that I've so far combined into the bowl are evenly mixed. And meanwhile, I should also say to you guys, the oven is currently preheating. It's been preheating this whole time to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. You can Google, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't have the conversion, but you can Google what the conversion to Celsius would be for you people like in Europe or wherever else in the world that might go by Celsius as your measurement of temperature. So there we go. Mix that up, those dry ingredients. Next, we're going to do the egg substitutes. Now, what I like to do is I like to use in a separate bowl for the egg substitutes. I just get a small, it doesn't have to be anything large. I just get a small, like a cereal bowl. And what you want to do is you want to put in 1.5 teaspoons of egg substitute into this. I use Ener-G. I'll show you. I use Ener-G egg replacer. And like I said, you want to get yourself 1.5 teaspoons of Ener-G here. So here's 1 teaspoon of Ener-G, and then I'm going to get my my half teaspoon here, and 1/2 teaspoons of the Ener-G egg replacer. So there you go, and I'm going to put the egg replacer away now. Okay, now what you want to do is, you got the egg replacer powder in the bowl here. You want to mix in 2 tablespoons of water. Now what I do is I get some hot water here. You can use a tap filter or you can use a Brita, but it's probably easier to use a tap filter or just your tap, whatever you want, and go with some hot water. The back of the egg replacer says to use hot water, so I go with hot water. And then I just take in, here's 1 tablespoon right there. I dump in the first tablespoon, and then I take another tablespoon. I kind of let it pour in from the edge because it gets on the tablespoon better. There we go. And then you have that. And then what you want to do is you want to mix your egg replacer. You just want to mix it up. I do all mixing by hand because I don't have a lot of electronic items, mixing appliances or cooking appliances aside from a blender. But you just want to mix it all up the best you possibly can. I just kind of, I tilt it a little bit, I let it swirl around in there to let all the bits of the powder get mixed in with the water that I have just added. And then I just get it all mixed up. You know, mix vigorously. Mix like you fucking mean it. Then once it's all mixed, I just dump it right in. Make sure all of the egg replacer mixes into the bowl. And then I just let that rinse out in the sink really quickly so I can clean it up later. Because it's going to be a bit of cleanup with this. There's always is with baking, but I assure you these donuts are worth it. So once you have the egg replacer and water mixed into the mixing bowl here, as you can see, next thing you want to do is you want to add 3/4 cup of rice milk. Now you can use almond milk, you can use soy milk, you can use coconut milk. I alternate. It depends on what I have in my fridge. I've used almond, I've used soy, and I've used rice. Right now I'm going to use almond. So give it a good old shake. I got some almond breeze right here. And 3/4 cup. So we're going to let this fill up to 3/4 here. Okay, I'm going to put this almond milk back in the fridge. And then just dump that in there with the other dry ingredients. So now after you've added in the almond milk, or whatever milk of choice you're using, you want to put in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I have a nice organic vanilla extract right here that I'm going to use for baking. Notice this is an alcohol-based extract. For my frostings and icings, I use a non-alcohol base, obviously. So pour in 1 full teaspoon of that. And there we go. Now I'm going to get some paper towel here because I'm going to end up making a mess. This is where I want to clean some things up a little bit. Okay, just because the alcohol, the extract drips. So there you go, 1 teaspoon of that. Next you want to put in 4 teaspoons of coconut oil. So I don't want to get the coconut oil moldy. I don't know if any of you know this, but if you put wet silverware or what have you into a coconut oil jar, you can actually make the coconut oil moldy. I didn't know this. I learned this the hard way one time, and I had throw away an entire container of coconut oil. So I like using coconut oil for this. That is what I use in this recipe. Maybe you can use something else like maybe a margarine, or maybe you can use, but use 4 tablespoons. So here we go, 4 tablespoons of coconut oil. 1, and again, coconut oil right here from Whole Foods. 2, 3, and 4. I feel like we got a fucking learning video here going on. A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, next up, I have a little list I've laid on the side for myself here that, this is what I consider my secret ingredients. I don't know if you want to call them secret ingredients or what. I feel like these add a kick to the recipe. These are what give the donuts the distinct, classic, old-fashioned donut flavor. And that is, I'm going to put in 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I just use a sea salt. So 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. So just get it all filled up here. So 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. Next, I want to put in 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. I'm using a organic ground nutmeg from Whole Foods Market here. So just get a nice 1/4 teaspoon of that and dump that shit in there. And then finally, you want to put in a pinch of cinnamon. So, there you go. Got some ground cinnamon here. Just want to get a little, just a pinch of that between your fingers and just sprinkle that shit in there too. And there you have it. Those are the ingredients for the donuts. Now what we do is we simply vigorously mix this shit. Now you can probably use a beater, but like I said, I do it all by hand. So I just use that knife that I had used earlier to mix the dry ingredients up. And I just get in there and I fucking stir this shit. I fucking stir this shit. You know, get it all together. You want to make sure you get it all around. So, you know, I get vigorous with it. I kind of go like in little circles all throughout the full thing, through the center. Then I go in reverse a little bit. Then I go up, back and forward, left and right. You know, diagonal action. Again, if you're using electric beater, you're probably going to, obviously, you're going to be able to mix this shit a little better than I would. But whatever. It all works. My donuts have never turned out wrong because I go by hand. And look at this too, I'm a bodybuilder, so this is a fucking forearm workout. So get all that shit all fucking mixed up. Stab it, swirl it, scrape it. Be all vigorous about that, you know? Then when you're happy with how it's mixed up, it should have this kind of a consistency, sort of, kind of a thin-ish, not, it's thick, it's a little, you know, it's not like some cookie batter, which is a little more doughy. This is a little more, a little soft, a little more liquidy, but not too liquidy. It's just, I don't know, it's gloppy, I guess. I don't even know what fucking word to use for that shit. So anyway, once you've done that, and assuming, of course, you're, I'm going to put this in the sink I don't know now, and assuming, of course, you've preheated your oven, now what we do is we're going to oil up a baking tin, because these are baked donuts. These are not fried donuts. So get yourself some room. I personally like to use, twist tin. I have a twist tin that I personally like to use. Now I'm going to be able to fill up 4 of these. I've never been able to fill up more than 4, so it makes 4 twisty donuts. What you want to do is, once you got your tin, I use a canola oil spray from Whole Foods. It's you know, I like Whole Foods' products. And you just want to give a little bit of a spray down to each one of these fucking slots there. Like I said, 4 of them. It'll work just 4. It'll work just fine for 4. So you got that all sprayed out. Now what you want to do is Sorry, I had to grab a spoon, just a typical, you know, spoon here. Scrape off the knife in here that I've been using to stir with. Now what I do is I fill up each one of these compartments here to 2/3 capacity. So just fill it on up to 2/3 capacity. Don't have to be pretty, but you can make it pretty if you want to. It all goes down the same anyway and comes out the same. So there you go. Fill it up 2/3 each one. Get it all in there. You know, just pat it down a little bit. You see, this is not too hard. It's pretty simple. There you go. Fill that all up there. Now we got the final one. I'm going to fill this one up too. Scrape the last of this. The last one's always a little bit smaller than the other three. And you can even it out a little bit if you want to, but whatever. So it's like 3 and 90% of this. The fourth one's always 90% of the other 3. So there you have it. That's it. Once that's like that, you're going to stick this in the oven, and I let it bake in the large tin like this. I find that about 22 to 25 minutes at 325 degrees Fahrenheit is all it takes. Then I take it out, I test it with a fork to see how it is in the center, if it's finished. Anyway, I'll show you all that, but we're going to stop this portion of the video here because this was just the prep and mixing and all that and getting it ready to go for the baking process. The donuts are baked now, and I've laid them out here. Here's how I test to make sure. Again, I want you guys to notice I'm using an oven mitt here because you don't want to fucking burn yourself. You want to make sure that they're ready. I take a fork and I just lightly tap the top of the donuts right in the center. And I mean, they can be soft, but you shouldn't sink in. If you're sinking in, put them back into the oven. If they're not firm enough, put them back into the oven for another 2.5 to 5 minutes until they're ready. Because different ovens can have different baking times. So now, these are firm enough, so I'm going to transfer them now to a plate. So let me do that. Now, when I'm transferring them, I just, you know, it's nothing special. I get a freaking fork in there, make sure they're loosened up a little bit, get it underneath the donut, pull it up, grab it, and lay it down. At this point, you should also, by the way, one thing I want to note, let these cool for 10 minutes after they come out of the oven. I've done that. This you didn't see in the video, but I've already done that. I let them cool for 10 minutes after they came out of the oven. So actually, I had already tested these before with the fork, but I was just demonstrating for you how you do that. So yeah, get all the beautiful little donuts right here onto a plate. You should be able to fit them pretty well, all 4, onto a plate. They might crumble a bit, fall apart a bit. They are soft, so, but that's fine. You know, let's get them all up here. This one's being a little bit crumbly. There we go. I'm gonna rinse my hand off here. All right. And then move the tin. And I'm just gonna put that in the sink. And there you have it. Those are the prepared donuts. Now, what I'm going to show you how to do is create the frosting. Okay, here's how we do the powdered sugar icing. I do an icing that's reminiscent of cinnamon roll icing. That's just what I prefer to put on there. So it's got more fat. It's got fat in it as opposed to standard icing sugar. So get yourself a nice small bowl like you did for the donuts. A little smaller than the one I used for the donuts, actually. And the first thing we're going to do is, and I'm going to get this dried out a little bit here, is put in 2 cups of powdered sugar. So, 2 cups of powdered sugar. To some, I think it's called confectioner's sugar. It's the powdery kind. I just do 2 cups of this. Again, I don't, it could be a little under, a little over, but I just basically estimate it here. There we go. Making a bit of a mess here in my counter, but oh well. So get the 2 cups of powdered sugar. Next up is 1/4 of a cup of coconut oil. So we'll take the coconut oil we did before. I'll take the measuring cup here and ensure that I can actually see where the 1/4 part is. All right. And I just pour it in until it hits 1/4 of a cup. And then dump that in with the powdered sugar. Make sure it's all in there. Next, we have to add in the non-dairy milk. So I'm going to use the almond milk again. And it's 2 tablespoons of that, so get a tablespoon measure here. 1 and 2. I'm going to put this baby back in the fridge. Okay. Next is going to be 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now, if you recall earlier, I had mentioned to you that I use a, sorry, this is a new vanilla I haven't opened yet, so I'm going to get it opened up. I use a non-alcoholic vanilla extract, obviously, for my frostings and icings because in baking, the alcohol and the extracts will bake out. So, obviously, it's not going to happen in an icing or a frosting. So, you want to do 1 tablespoon of this. 1 tablespoon. And then finally, the very last of the ingredients for this is a pinch of salt. Just get a little bit on my fingers here, between my fingers, and I just sprinkle that in there. That's the pinch of salt. And then I take my my knife again, and I just stir it up, mix it up, until you get the consistency that you need for the frosting. This is going to take a bit of elbow grease because with icing at least it's a little bit different then, and you might have to add more milk if you find it's not getting mixed it well enough. Usually the 2 tablespoons of almond milk is all I need. Or rice. I've done rice also. I've also done coconut and soy. In this case, I've used almond milk. But you can use the milk of your choice. But, yeah, I just mix them. I like mine a little thick. I will admit I like mine a little thick, so I get it all mixed the best I possibly can. And I don't concern myself over too much about how pretty it looks. So there you go. And then I get a spoon. And we got the donuts here. And at this point in time, I just take out the frosting, and this may seem very unattractive, but whatever. And I just, baste it right on the fucking donuts. So, this part's no This part isn't extremely complex. You know, just get this thing here, hold it in place, and make sure everything's on. And yep, just get it all on there. I'm sure some of you out there might be a little more artistic with how you frost your stuff, but whatever. If it gets the job done, it gets the job done. But for me at least, because it's all going down. But you get the idea. And there you go. You know, just frost them up, and there you have it. Vegan, gluten-free donuts frosted with a cinnamon roll style frosting. Enjoy, and see you guys on Friday for a regularly scheduled episode. Until then, I know you can't see me, so stay fit, stay formidable, and stay fantastic. Take care.